Hello and welcome. Tonight we investigate a mystery that doesn't whisper from a haunted house or scream from a crime scene. It is a quiet, intellectual mystery that has forced us to tear up our own history books and question everything we thought we knew about the ancient world. It is the story of an object, a ghost in the machine of history, a piece of impossible technology found at the bottom of the sea. This is the definitive deep dive into the Antikythera Mechanism. Our story begins with a violent act of nature. In the spring of 1900, a team of Greek sponge divers, led by Captain Dimitrios Kontos, was sailing through the Aegean Sea. A furious storm erupted, forcing their small boat to take shelter near the tiny, rocky island of Antikythera. The next day, with the storm past, they decided to try their luck diving in this uncharted water. A diver named Elias Stadiatis plunged into the depths. A few minutes later, he surfaced in a state of terror, frantically signaling to be pulled aboard. He babbled about a horrifying sight, a field of rotting corpses and horses on the seabed. Captain Kontos, thinking the diver was suffering from nitrogen narcosis, made the dive himself to verify the claim. What he found was not a graveyard of bodies, but something far more astonishing: the wreck of an ancient Roman cargo ship, its treasures scattered across the seafloor. The corpses were magnificent bronze and marble statues, their lifelike forms twisted and patinated by 2 millennia beneath the sea. This was one of the greatest underwater archaeological discoveries in history. For the next year, the sponge divers, with the help of the Hellenic Navy, conducted a perilous salvage operation. They brought up a breathtaking collection of artifacts: priceless bronze statues, including the famous Antikythera philosopher, marble sculptures, beautiful glassware, and pottery. And among this hoard of classical treasures, they recovered a seemingly insignificant object, a lump of corroded bronze and rotted wood, about the size of a large book. It was unceremoniously hauled up, dismissed as a rock or a piece of the ship's armor, and sent to the National Archaeological Museum in Athens, where it was forgotten for 2 years. In May 1902, the lump of bronze, drying out in the museum, began to crack and split apart. The museum's archaeologist, Valerios Stais, happened to be walking by when he noticed something incredible. Embedded within the corroded layers was the unmistakable, perfectly formed shape of a gear wheel. He looked closer. There were more gears, some incredibly small, and faint inscriptions in ancient Greek. This was no rock. This was a machine, a complex geared machine from a 2,000-year-old shipwreck. The discovery was baffling. The prevailing view of ancient Greek technology was that, while they were brilliant theorists and architects, their mechanical skills were rudimentary, limited to simple levers and cranes. The idea of a complex, precision-geared machine from that era was simply unthinkable. Early theories suggested it might be a primitive clock, or perhaps an advanced astrolabe, but its sheer complexity defied any known ancient device. For decades, the artifact, now known as the Antikythera Mechanism, remained an enigma, an anomaly that most historians simply ignored because it didn't fit the accepted narrative of the past. The technology to understand it did not yet exist. It would take another half-century and the obsessive work of a brilliant historian of science from Yale University, Derek de Sola Price, to begin to unlock its secrets. Price became fascinated by the mechanism in the 1950s and dedicated over 2 decades of his life to studying it. Using the then-new technology of X-ray and gamma-ray imaging, he was able to peer inside the 82 corroded fragments for the first time. What he saw was a breathtaking system of over 30 interlocking bronze gear wheels, some with tiny triangular teeth cut with incredible precision. He meticulously counted the teeth, traced the gear trains, and began to understand their functions. In 1974, Price published a groundbreaking 70-page paper titled "Gears from the Greeks." His conclusion was revolutionary and, at the time, highly controversial. He declared that the Antikythera Mechanism was not a clock or a simple navigational tool. It was, he argued, an ancient analog computer. It was a mechanical calculator of the cosmos, a device designed to predict the positions of the sun and the moon, and potentially the planets, with stunning accuracy. The claim was so audacious that it was met with widespread skepticism. The idea of a computer from the 2nd century BC seemed like science fiction. The mystery would lie dormant again until the early 2000s, when a new generation of scientists with access to vastly superior technology formed the Antikythera Mechanism Research Project, AMRP. This international team of astronomers, physicists, mathematicians, and archaeologists brought cutting-edge technology to bear on the ancient puzzle. They used custom-built, high-resolution 3D X-ray scanners to create a complete digital model of the mechanism's internal structure, allowing them to see how all the gears fit together and moved. They used a photographic technique called reflectance transformation imaging to read the thousands of nearly invisible Greek characters inscribed on the machine's surfaces, which essentially formed its user manual. The secrets of the world's first computer were finally revealed. What they discovered was a work of pure genius. The Antikythera mechanism was a horological masterpiece, a clockwork cosmos in a box. The front face had pointers that tracked the positions of the sun and moon against the backdrop of the Greek zodiac and the 365-day Egyptian calendar. A user could turn a knob on the side, and the pointers would move, showing the precise location of the celestial bodies on any given day, past or future. But the true genius was hidden in the back. The back face featured two large, elegant spiral dials. The upper spiral, consisting of 235 divisions, represented the 19-year Metonic cycle, a complex astronomical period used by the Babylonians and Greeks to reconcile the lunar and solar calendars. The lower spiral dial represented the Saros cycle, a period of 223 lunar months used to predict both solar and lunar eclipses with startling accuracy. It even indicated the expected color of a lunar eclipse. A smaller subsidiary dial within the Saros dial tracked the 4-year cycle of the Pan-Hellenic Games, including the Olympic Games, essentially making it a social calendar as well as a cosmic one. The most sophisticated part of the mechanism was how it modeled the irregular orbit of the moon. The ancient Greeks knew that the moon's speed varies as it orbits the Earth. To account for this, the unknown maker of the mechanism employed a breathtakingly clever system of epicyclic gearing, or gears on gears, using a pin and slot mechanism to vary the speed of the moon's pointer across the zodiac. This level of sophisticated mechanical engineering, the ability to translate a complex astronomical theory into a physical, working model, was thought to be impossible for the ancient world. It was a level of technology that would not be seen again in Europe for another 1,400 years, until the great astronomical clocks of the late Middle Ages. The research has answered the question of what the mechanism did, but in doing so, it has opened up a series of even more profound mysteries. First, who made it? The creator was undoubtedly a genius on par with Archimedes or Leonardo da Vinci. The astronomical knowledge encoded within it points to the island of Rhodes, a major center for Greek astronomy in the 2nd century BC, and the work of the greatest astronomer of antiquity, Hipparchus, who was the first to develop a theory for the moon's irregular orbit. While we will never know the maker's name, we know they were part of a sophisticated tradition of science and engineering. This leads to the most chilling question: were there others? The mechanism's refined design, its compact and efficient construction, suggests that it was not a prototype. It was likely the product of an established tradition. The Roman orator Cicero, writing in the 1st century BC, describes two similar machines built by Archimedes. If these devices existed, was this level of technology common? If so, where are the others? Why has not a single other complex geared artifact from antiquity ever been found? This is the central, haunting mystery. It implies that an entire branch of ancient high technology has been completely lost to history. Where did this knowledge go? It's possible this advanced mechanical tradition was highly localized and secretive and simply died out. It is also possible that other such devices, made of valuable bronze, were simply melted down over the centuries. The survival of the Antikythera mechanism itself is a near miracle, a 1 in a billion chance, preserved only because its ship sank before its cargo could be delivered and its metal recycled. The Antikythera mechanism is more than just an ancient gadget. It is a technological ghost. It is a humbling and unsettling reminder that our modern timeline of progress is not a straight, unbroken line. It proves that incredible knowledge can be acquired and then completely lost, forcing humanity to reinvent the wheel centuries later. It forces us to wonder what other secrets, what other marvels, were lost in the flames of the Library of Alexandria or the collapse of the Roman Empire. The discovery of this 2,000-year-old computer has fundamentally changed our understanding of the ancient world. It is a testament to the incredible, almost unbelievable genius of the Greek astronomers and engineers. The greatest mystery of the Antikythera mechanism is not just how it was made, but how a world that could create it could then forget how to do so for over a millennium. It is the story of a forgotten chapter in the history of human ingenuity, a chapter that was almost lost forever beneath the sea.